Oba Atokpe, he said, the video you are about to watch is the video of the World Press Conference organized by the Palace of the Oba of Benin in 2021. Immediately, Obaseki floated the Legacy Restoration Trust Limited. Whereas, before that, the Oba of Benin had earlier registered the Oba Ewa Foundation that would take care of the returned artifacts. So, this video you're about to watch, I believe, will clear a whole lot of doubts surrounding the MOWAA issue. And it will also prove that Mr. Godwin Obaseki contrived the return of these artifacts. It will also show Obaseki's complicity in this whole exercise that bettered a MOWAA and MOWAA. So I want you to watch this video dispassionately, without a biased mind. Watch it. Then at the end of the day, you will now know that Mr. Godwin Obaseki wittily hijacked the process of the return of these Benin precious artifacts. So I will leave you now to watch the video, share it, and comment, or also share your thoughts on the comment section. I will see you at the end of this video.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the years have been mandated to read the statement from His Royal Majesty. This is a statement at the meeting of His Royal Majesty Edo State, Oba of Benin, with palace chiefs and Enigie on the repatriation of the looted Benin artifacts. In the name of God and our ancestors, I welcome you all and thank you all for honoring the invitation. I have called this meeting today to intimate you of the matter of the Benin artifacts in Europe at the verge of being repatriated, which I am sure you have heard and read about in recent weeks. You may also have heard about the recent activities of a group of individuals who incorporated a company since January 2020 called Legacy Restoration Trust Limited. It has become germane to note that the advocacy and demands for the return of the artifacts looted from the Benin Kingdom in 1897 have been going on for decades before the emergence of the incumbent Governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki. I must sincerely thank the Governor for joining the struggle and showing commitment to retrieve our stolen cultural heritage from Europe. While anticipating the return of the looted artifacts from Europe, I want to note that attempts to divert the destination of the right of custody of the artifacts is not in the interest of the Benin Kingdom, to whom the Palace of the Oba of Benin provides leadership. The looted artifacts awaiting repatriation from Europe are the cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom, created by our ancestors and forefathers within the traditional norms and rights of the kingdom. They are not property of the state government or any private corporation entity that is not a creation of the Benin Kingdom. The right and only legitimate destination of the artifacts to be repatriated, as already pronounced by my father, is under the aegis of the Benin Royal Museum that will be sited within the precincts of the palace of the Oba of Benin, from where they were stolen. And also the property, and also the proper traditional institution that is also the custodian of all cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom. The palace, therefore, strongly advises that anyone, group, organization, or the government, national and international, that is dealing with any organization or artificial group in the process of returning the looted artifacts from Benin will be doing so at their own risk against the will of the people of Benin Kingdom. There is no alternative native or authority or custodian of the cultural heritage of Benin Kingdom outside the Oba of Benin as constituted by the Royal Palace. I do not believe that the motive by a privately registered company, the Legacy Restoration Trust Limited, and the purported establishment of Edo Museum of West African Arts, MOWAA, are in consonance with the wishes of the people of Benin Kingdom. It is pertinent to note that shortly after my accession to the throne, I had several discussions with the governor on the plan of the Benin Royal Museum, and he expressed his readiness to work with the palace to actualize this laudable wish of my father. I made efforts and acquired additional plots of land from different families within the Adesogbe area near the present-day palace for this purpose. I was, however, surprised to read from the governor's letter to the palace where reference was made to the fact that a new museum to be known as MOWAA is now being proposed, which will be funded and executed through the vehicle of another body now referred to as Legacy Restoration Trust. When Governor Godwin Obaseki informed me in the correspondence of another implementation framework using the so-called Legacy Restoration Trust and the Edo Museum of West African Arts, MOWAA, my response was that the setting up of another organization or legal entity in whatever form or guise will not be necessary nor acceptable. I informed him that Obaewa, the second foundation, has been registered with the CAC and has worked out a framework for not only receiving the artifacts, but also building a modern structure, the Benin Royal Museum, within the precincts of the palace. And that land has been secured for the building of the Benin Royal Museum under the supervision of the traditional institution. But for reasons best known to him, the governor has gone against the understanding given recent events. As a matter of fact, the people of Benin Kingdom and other stakeholders, especially the Benin Dialogue Group, has at different meetings endorsed the Benin Royal Museum to be built within the palace, as well as endorsing the Oba Iwari the second foundation for fundraising and other requisite administrative processes. We wish to use this museum. We wish to use this medium to call on the federal government to take custody of these artifacts on behalf of the palace until the Benin Royal Museum is ready for their collection. Under no circumstances should custody of our age-old artifacts be handed to any privately contrived entity like the Legacy Restoration Trust. Thankfully, just yesterday I spoke with the Honorable Minister for Information and Culture, who presently in Germany over the negotiation with the German government over the plans for the repatriation of our artifacts. He assured me that the federal government remain committed to get the unconditional return of our artifacts and will guarantee its full custody for their onward transmission to Benin Kingdom, to the exclusion of any unauthorized private entities or third parties. We once again thank the federal government for this commitment. It now behoves the federal government to be the only level of government that can take custody of the artifacts with a view to transferring them to their original owner and their original place of abode. More so that there exists external treaties and laws guiding these processes. The Palace of the Oba of Benin wishes to advise His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obaseki, Governor of Edo State, to review his approach of using private vehicle of Legacy Trust Limited and the Edo Museum of West African Art, MOWAA, and to see how he can genuinely collaborate with the Oba Palace in accordance with our original understanding. We thank the German government for their interest and willingness to return the Benin artifacts. We pray to God and our ancestors for a fruitful resolution of this issue. Thank you.
A truly historic moment we are witnessing here. Rotus Ikene, we've been listening to the EAC of Benin, who's the traditional prime minister, communicates what the Oba has been talking about in the last 1 hour plus in the Benin language, basically saying that reparation of the looted Benin artifacts should return to the palace where it belongs.
Yes, indeed, and it's notable that this 91-year-old traditional prime minister was not able to prostrate before the Oba because of his age. But some of the things that struck me from what he said was...
How old is he? You should let everyone know how old he is.
91-year-old. Yes, if you want me for emphasis.
Articulate and, you know...
Yes, very sound of
cleared the message
mind.
very well, yeah.
But what stood out for me from what he was saying was that there seemed to have been a pre-existing agreement between the Oba and Governor Obaseki at the onset. Indeed, he welcomed the governor's interest in supporting what he said was an existing desire of his to retrieve the artifacts, and went ahead to make arrangements so that when the artifacts were recovered, he bought extra plots of land or added extra plots of land for the purpose of having that museum set up. So he, as far as that discourses or what was said is concerned, he was fully anticipating that the artifacts would be returned to him, and it came as a surprise to him to learn of these new arrangements of a trust having been set up and a different museum being established as well.
Right. And again, I do encourage all our viewers to read that front page article in This Day newspaper. It's really in depth. And they mentioned the company. They mentioned it pretty, Legacy Restoration Trust, and they made it clear that and in fact, in specific words, he said anyone who's doing any dealings with Legacy or any other company purporting to be working on behalf of getting those artifacts back, you're doing it at your own risk. They have to come back to the palace and go nowhere else. So that statement, he couldn't have been any more clear, the Oba, with respect to that.
Indeed, you know, he says this is the cultural heritage of the Benin people. They're not property of the state government. Those are the words of the Oba there, read out loudly by the ESL of Benin, again, the traditional prime minister. They are not the property of the state government or any private entity. This, you know, he says it clearly. There were plans, like you had mentioned, and these plans even date back to his father's reign. There were plans to set up a museum in the palace. Talking about Oba Erejawa II, who has joined his ancestors. And he wonders why, after that conversation, notifying the governor, incumbent governor, to say, we would like to have the palace have a museum. It's called, if I can get the name, the Benin Royal Museum is what it should be called. He's surprised that the governor went ahead to float a private entity.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And he says the Legacy Restoration Trust Limited and the activities of the Legacy Restoration Trust Limited are not in consonance with the legacy of Benin Kingdom.
The wishes of the Benin people.
Yeah.
It clearly showed that it was a deliberate attempt, or it was a deliberate, or Obaseki deliberately did what he did. First, he was aware that the Benin Dialogue Group was already in existence. Instead of him to build on what has already been on ground before his, eventual position as a governor, he otherwise, or instead, choose a different path entirely by setting up Legacy Restoration Trust that will take care of the incoming artifacts and also the donation, the reparation that we paid, and the construction of the museum. And again, other points were also raised in that press conference, that the palace of the Oba of Benin were never part and parcel of that Legacy Restoration Trust. A trust he or him and his group formed in the year 2020. The palace were never part of it, and the palace also came out to say that they didn't know how their name was listed as a member of that Legacy Restoration Trust. Hence, the Oba of Benin in that press conference submitted that whoever is dealing with Legacy Restoration Trust should do so at his or her own risk, because the Oba and the palace of the Oba of Benin were never part and parcel of that arrangement. So, I believe in that video you have watched, you can clearly see that Obaseki contrived the process. He took advantage of the process because of the power he wields as the state governor to hijack the process. Thank God for the God King we have, the Oba of Benin, a very smart king at that, had to use the power of the federal government to gazette this artifact, which further gave him the advantage or the full ownership of this artifact. So whatever you feel or you think about the video you've watched, please go to the comment section and drop it there. Thank you and God bless you.